Welcome back, guys. Today I'll be talking about running backs 5 through 1 on my top 10 list. We'll just get straight into it with number 5. We have Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb last year ran for almost 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns, caught 36 passes for 278 yards, no touchdowns. He fumbled 3 times, twice in one game against the Patriots. He was a Pro Bowler last year, and he's supposed to be a two-time 1,000-yard rusher. But his rookie year, on his last carry of the year, he ran for -4, -5 yards, pushing him to 996. And that's only in 9 started games. I mean, he did have that one game with like 3 carries for 100 and some yards, 103 yards, and then 3 touchdowns, something like that. But Nick Chubb is really fun to watch, as we know. He's not the fastest back, but he's a powerful runner. He's not great in the receiving game, as shown by his stats. Only 36 catches last year, 20 the year before. Only 2 career receiving touchdowns, and that was all his rookie year. So his rookie year, he had more touchdowns total than this year, but he had like 120 more touches this year. So take that as you will. Whether you think he should have been a bigger factor in the receiving game is your opinion. I don't think it really matters because they have the dual-headed monster with him and Kareem Hunt. To be honest, I didn't even realize Kareem Hunt got re-signed because I thought it was just a 1-year deal, but apparently he got re-signed. I'm just an idiot. My bad on that. But I guess you could argue that Kareem Hunt will take away from Nick Chubb's production next year. But, I mean, in those 6 games, he had 3 really good games, 1 average game, and 2 bad games. So, I mean, take that as you will. I think he'll do great. Last year he had according to Pro Football Focus, the 23rd best offensive line in their ratings. I don't know how the ratings work. I just know they have this whole algorithm and equation for it. Just personally, I don't understand it because I don't know it. I don't work for Pro Football Focus. But they had the 23rd best offensive line. They just added Jack Conklin. They drafted a new tackle. The Browns are getting better next year. They added a new tight end, Austin Hooper, to go along with David Njoku. Both of them are talented tight ends. Just Njoku has trouble staying on the field. And Nick Chubb, really good back. He's one of the best runners with the ball, not receivers, in the league. He had almost 300 carries last year. He averaged 5 yards per carry. Rookie year, 5.2. That's obviously above average. In 2 years, he has 2,500 yards almost. On average, that's like 1,245 yards. He has 2,490, but, most of it came from last year. But, hey, Nick Chubb is really fun to watch. I don't think that's an argument. Even as a rookie, he was good, yet Carlos Hyde, I believe, was the one starting in front of him. And the Browns realized that late in the season. They traded away Carlos Hyde to the Jaguars, who then, I think, played the rest of the season out there, was waived, then signed to the Chiefs, and then was waived, signed to the Texans, had a good year for them, surprisingly. And he just signed to the Seahawks, so good for him. He'll be the backup there because Rashad Penny won't be ready for the beginning of the season. So that's already a good running back group there. That's off topic, though. But Kareem Hunt, I don't think it's really debatable that he's top at least 7. Even with the poor offensive line, he was still able to do great things for that team. But we'll have to see how he does this year with Kareem Hunt for a full 16 and a new coach who's more pass happy. Actually, not necessarily. He was pass happy because he needed to please Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs because they were getting annoyed that they weren't really getting a lot of receptions. Mostly Stephon Diggs, but I'm pretty sure Adam Thielen said something about it too. So we'll see how he does with the new coach. That's Nick Chubb for you at 5. Number 4, we have Derrick Henry. I don't think this is arguable at all. He had the 8th best offensive line last year, except for the right guard position, which was bad for them. And throughout his career, he's had 2 1,000-yard seasons, but his 2017 year, he only started 2 games and had 744 yards. So, that's pretty good. 16 games played, 2 starts. I'd be okay with that. And then 2018, he played all 16, but he only started 12 of them, had 1,000. Obviously, 2018, he went on that 4-game stretch at the end of the year to get him to 1,000. I think he had 2 200-yard games. And, this year, 300 carries, 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 2 receiving touchdowns. That's second best in the league. Technically third if you're going to count a tie and then move the spot down, but I don't think it matters like that. He was a Pro Bowler last year. Derrick Henry, obviously, is legitimately the most powerful runner in the league. No one can stop that man if he gets a head of steam, especially with the good offensive line. He's a lot of holes open for him. Just a great situation for him in Tennessee where the offense is mostly around him, especially late in the season. And then, Ryan Tannehill, more of a game manager quarterback, but apparently you can pay game managers $30 million a year now. And Derrick Henry can't get paid. But with that, Derrick Henry is a great running back in the red zone, obviously, with how big he is. What is he, like 6'3", 2-something? 247? Jesus, that's, wow. He gets a lot of long runs because, last year, 74 was his longest, and then his career high is 99. As we know, he had 73 first downs last year as a runner and 4 as a receiver, and then 175-yard reception. That was against the Browns in week 1. Yeah, week 1. Because the Browns beat the Jets in week 2. Yeah. All right. So, against the Browns in week 1, he had a 75-yard catch, and that was nearly half of his receiving yards. That's pretty bad. Honestly, that's pretty bad. But, that's not what you use him for. Use him to just be a workhorse. Just grind out the yards, grind out the big runs. Obviously, he's capable of doing that because no one can tackle him. I mean, ask Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas had a little fun with him and his brother and some woman because Derrick Henry put him in a blender, made him think his whole life around. But we're not going to talk about that. That's all right, Earl Thomas. But yeah, so Derrick Henry, it's obvious that he's at 4. I don't think you could put him higher because I think the three guys above him are just more talented, whether that's blocking, whether that's receiving or running. I mean, I don't know about running for most of these guys above him, but I feel like overall their games are better. None of them can really be the powerful runner that he is that are above him, but the 3 running backs that are above him are obvious. You'll find out. But, I mean, Derrick Henry is just the most powerful runner in the league. He's amazing talent, obviously. He's fun to watch. I could watch Derrick Henry highlights for a while if I really wanted to. I could watch a whole Titans game if I wanted to, and I don't even like the Titans. Yes, they beat my Patriots in the playoffs, but I knew that was happening. Most people did if you were, not biased about it, even though it's the Patriots. You expect them to go Super Bowl every year, conference championship at least. But, when we lost that Week 17 game against Miami, I knew we were out in the first round against the Titans just because of how hot they were at the end of the year. And, Derrick Henry led that for the whole playoffs. I mean, his playoffs performance itself could put him top 3. Every year he's done well in the playoffs. He's done well at the end of the year, week 14 through 17 through conference championship this year where they lost. I don't really think there's an argument to put him lower. Nick Chubb is not better than him. I don't care what anyone says. He's just not. And number 3, we had to go Zeke. Obviously, he has one of the best offensive lines. Pro Football Focus had at 4, but in reality, it was like the best offensive line last year, talent-wise. In his career, he's ran under 1,000 one time, but that is because he missed 6 games with suspension, and that was his second highest yards per game average. His lowest yards per carry at 4.1, but he had more touchdowns in those 10 games than he did in 15 in week 2018. He's been a 1-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler. Last year, 1,357 yards, 12 touchdowns, 54 catches, 420 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's underrated in the passing game, I feel like. The year before that, 2018, he had 77 catches, 95 targets. His first 2 years, he didn't really get a ton of targets out of the backfield because they didn't really use him like that. But, he's better now at that. He's evolved. He just became better. Last year, he had 355 total touches. And he was one of the best pass-blocking backs in the league last year, if not the best. And throughout his whole career, he's just been a great pass blocker for a running back. He's obviously a good running back. He has everything. He can run, he can receive, he can block. That's everything you need out of running back. I mean, you could potentially put him at 1, but I feel like 2 guys above him are just better with what they do for their team. I don't know about that. I feel like Zeke helps you win more than the other 2 because the other 2 have been put in bad situations for the most part of their career, winning-wise. Whether that's due to injury or just bad teams, it's for you to decide. But I think it's mostly due to both of those, obviously, depending on which team you're looking at. Obviously, the 1 and 2, you already know who it is. But, in the playoffs, I'm pretty sure he's done pretty well. He's averaged 125 and then 92 yards per game with 2 total touchdowns, right? Yeah, 2 total touchdowns. Not that great receiving. He had 7 catches, 49 yards in his 2 years in the playoffs out of 4 years in the league. And, He breaks a lot of tackles. He had 24 broken tackles last year. What about yards before contact? He had 678 in 2019, 839 in 2018. I mean, that's just because of the offensive line. That amount of yards before contact is obviously because the offensive line making you big holes, just getting you out in the edge if you're running like a just outside run of some sort. Then he had 679 yards after contact, which is really good. And, he's just, it's Zeke. There's no argument here. I don't even think I really need to even explain myself for this. It's Ezekiel Elliott. He's on the Cowboys, on national television a lot. You get to watch him. You can. It's fun to watch. He's just a great back. He's one of the strongest backs in the league. If you look at him, he's just big. And he is 6 foot 228. That's a big back. Most backs are usually around anywhere from 5'10 to 6'1. I'd say 5'9 to 6'1, depending on who you're looking at. But Zeke has always had one of the best offensive lines. He'll never have a bad season if he has that good of an offensive line for most of his career. Yes, Travis Frederick just retired. I think the rookie they drafted as his replacement will be good. Obviously not Travis Frederick good, because Travis Frederick is one of the best centers of all time, debatably, if he played more years. It's kind of like a Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson situation where they didn't play enough years. But, it's kind of different because he's not skill position. So, and there's not really any stats that you can be like, oh, he didn't have as many yards as Randy Moss or Emmitt Smith, so he's not as good. That's just a stupid argument in itself to say that. You just have to look at the talent on the field. But with Travis Frederick, it's obviously he's one of the best centers ever, and that it'll be a real loss for the Cowboys. But even with that, Zeke is still going to do great next year for them. They still have a good O-line. He's still Zeke. I feel like he'll get more catches next year. I see him around the 60 to 68, 70 type of catches, kind of like his third year. And watching him come from 32 and 26 catches to 77, 54, that's a great jump. That's a good jump. That proves that you are getting better, that you are more involved in the passing game, that the coach trusts you more, whether that's Kellen Moore running the offense now or Mike McCarthy. Obviously, Kellen Moore's the offensive coordinator, but Mike McCarthy's the coach. We'll see who really has the play calling duties. I think it's going to be Kellen Moore. I don't know what the Cowboys have said about that. Kellen Moore was calling plays last year. I don't see why he wouldn't this year. But, yeah, Zeke at number 3. Number 2, Saquon. I really wanted to put him at 1. But obviously Christian McCaffrey's at 1. I just think that McCaffrey's a better receiver. Last year, he had 13 games, 52 catches, 438 yards, touchdowns, 217 rushes, 1,003 yards, 6 touchdowns, and a 4.6 yards per game average. His rookie year, he had 91 catches, which is great, and 4 touchdowns, 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns. Saquon, 2 years in the league, going into his third. He's going to be 23 next year. I don't see how you can say he's not the number 2 or number 1 back in the league. If you say he's 3, I just feel like that's just you being a hater, just because you're like, oh, he's so young, he's only in his third year in the league. Yeah, sure. But look at him. He's a strong guy. How tall? He's 5'11", 233. He weighs more than Zeke. Yeah, look at him. He's huge. He's wicked, just jacked. Saquon's never had a good offensive line. Where were they in this? The Giants were 17. Yeah, they had Nate Solder and Kevin Zeitler and Mike Remmers. Nate Solder and Mike Remmers weren't that great. Kevin Zeitler, he was good for them. He just had a steady play at the guard position for them. Their center was Hernandez, I think, but he's not amazing. I don't know who their other guard is. But as a whole, their offensive line is not good, especially in the run blocking. And, they're just not good in the pass blocking. They're just not good. All right, Nate Solder was overpaid after he left the Pats. And he really just proves everyone wrong they're like, oh, he won't do good on the Giants. I don't think anyone said this, but you could think it because of how bad that team is and how bad their O-line is, how bad their defense is, just like that make them have to pass the ball more. But no, if you just give Saquon the ball, he'll do great things for you. He's a one-time Pro Bowler from his rookie year. He, won Rookie of the Year, obviously. Yeah, Saquon just is unstoppable. I don't see how any team can stop him. He did bad a couple games, but he did get hurt. You have to give him some leeway this year at least. And I just think next year, they'll do great. They just drafted a tackle at 4, Andrew Thomas. Whether that's the best tackle prospect in the draft, I don't think so, but he was definitely top 3 in my opinion. But at 4, I feel like it was a bit of reach. He could have traded down a little bit. But, you know, they improved the offensive line. He'll probably replace Mike Remmers or Nate Solder, depending on who they don't like as much. Depending on where they see Andrew Thomas playing, I mean. But yeah, Saquon, unstoppable. Great receiver, great runner, good yards per carry, touchdown machine when healthy, and a lot of yards, a lot of scrimmage yards. Hit over 2,000 scrimmage yards in his rookie year. He's fumbled once in his career. Once in his 2-year career. That is insane. That honestly could be the best part about him, the fact that he just never fumbles. I don't think he fumbled in college. But he fumbled for the first time in his rookie year. Second year. But, you know, it's Saquon. There's no argument here. Number 1, Christian McCaffrey. Third player in NFL who's up 1,000 in a year last year. Almost 1,400 yards and 1,005 yards on 116 catches. Had 19 total touchdowns, tied with Aaron Jones for most in the league. The year before that, he had 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, with 867 yards, 107 catches, 6 touchdowns. In total, he has 39 career touchdowns from his rookie to his third year. He was a first-team All-Pro last year, Pro Bowler. First-team All-Pro on 2 positions, being flex and running back, kind of like Khalil Mack with D-end and outside linebacker, except not the same year. So, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, there's no argument here. He's been on a bad team his whole career. He's had 1 winning season his whole career, 11-5 in his rookie year, then 7-9, then 5-11. And the reason why is because they had Cam Newton, who should be signed. He's a winning quarterback, but I already made that video. Go check it out. But McCaffrey, he's the best receiving back, potentially top 5 in league history, only through his third year. He has 303 catches through 3 years as a running back with 2,500 yards. That is crazy. And then 2,900 yards rushing. So it's not 1,000 per year because his rookie year he only had 435 because Jonathan Stewart was still there. They were splitting carries. But, you know, Christian McCaffrey had a bad offensive line last year at least. They were ranked 18th. So, I mean, he didn't really have a lot of leeway to do good, but he obviously did it just because of how talented he is. He's one of the fastest backs in the league. Heading into last season, he put on a lot of muscle. I'm not sure about a lot of weight, but he definitely looked bigger. And he is 205 pounds at 5'11", compared to Saquon, who's 233 at 5'11". So, I mean, he's not heavy, obviously, but he's pretty strong for his size. If you look at the pictures of him, you'll see. But aren't all NFL players strong? That was, alright, whatever. But Christian McCaffrey, great route runner too, obviously, gets open easily. Quarterbacks have to rely on him in the passing game because the receivers on the Panthers past couple years, except for DJ Moore last year, haven't really been great. Greg Olsen's been injured. DJ Moore really just came to his own last year. Curtis Samuel is like a Tavon Austin kind of player, except maybe worse, maybe better. I don't know. We'll see. He's young. But, you know, Christian McCaffrey, there's no argument here. I mean, you could put Saquon over him, but this is my personal opinion. So I'm putting Christian McCaffrey at 1. And to conclude Christian McCaffrey, it's obvious that he's one of the most elusive backs in the league. He doesn't fumble a lot. I mean, he's fumbled 7 times in 3 years. That's not great, but it's not awful. He only fumbled once last year. And, yeah, Christian McCaffrey, as a whole, is the best running back in the league. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a good one. Like and subscribe.